Every single morning in that loud high school, a quiet nerd with thick glasses hid behind his heavy textbooks. He was always so quiet and kept to himself, trying his best to remain completely invisible from everyone. Suddenly, a dark shadow would block the corridor light as the most arrogant school bully walked in proud. There was always a humiliating smirk on his face, loving to dominate every weak person around him. Without warning, the muscular bully would aggressively step forward, snatching the heavy textbook right out of the nerd's hands. He humiliated that innocent boy terribly in front of the entire class. With a mocking laugh that echoed through the hallway, the heartless bully threw the book straight into a dirty trash can. He looked down and told him that his worth was just like that trash can. The helpless teenager stared down at his ruined school supplies, his face completely red with deep, burning humiliation. All the kids were laughing at him, making fun of his poor and defenseless condition. The aggressive bully stepped even closer, pressing a sharp, threatening finger hard into the quiet nerd's chest. He looked him dead in the eye and threatened him that if he ever showed his face again, it would be very bad. Enjoying his cruel game, the tormentor picked up a carton of milk and poured it over the nerd's cheap backpack. He completely destroyed all his hard work, laughing loudly with his arrogant friends. But as the milk dripped onto the floor, the quiet nerd slowly adjusted his cracked glasses with silent fury. He looked at the bully and made a deep resolve in his heart that time would surely bring revenge. The arrogant bully simply laughed out loud, turning his back proudly to walk away down the empty high school hallway. He was completely blinded by his pride, completely unaware that he had just created his biggest future enemy. Standing entirely alone by his green locker, the humiliated boy gripped his remaining notebook with incredible force. He promised himself that tomorrow would be completely different and more powerful than this dark night. 15 long years passed away like a fleeting shadow, and the once powerful school bully was now totally broke. He was sitting in a small empty room, drowning under a massive amount of financial debt. He stared blankly at his cheap laptop screen, watching yet another automated job rejection email pop up on screen. He had completely run out of money, and his desperate face showed he was running out of time. With trembling and exhausted hands, he tried his absolute best to smooth out the wrinkles on his single physical resume. He needed a job at all costs, begging for just one single chance to survive. Suddenly, a bright notification flashed across his phone screen, confirming a highly prestigious job interview at a big tech firm. This was the biggest billionaire company in the city, bringing a tiny ray of final hope. With a renewed sense of hope, the former bully dressed up in his only decent, slightly tight old business suit. He looked at his face in the mirror, adjusting his faded silk tie with very shaky fingers. Stepping out of the noisy, crowded subway station, he stopped in his tracks and looked up at the giant corporate skyscraper. He felt terrified looking at such a massive building, feeling incredibly small and nervous inside. He walked past the high-security glass doors of the grand corporate lobby, his remaining confidence instantly shattering into pieces. Looking at the immense wealth and luxury there, his true status became glaringly obvious to him. Sitting anxiously on a sleek, expensive black leather sofa in the reception area, the nervous bully constantly bounced his leg. Sweat was pouring from his body, terrifyingly waiting for his name to be called. A polite receptionist dressed in a sharp executive blazer finally called his name with a formal professional smile. She gestured for him to open the door to the last cabin. "Your interview session is going to start now." The anxious bully stood up slowly, wiping his cold, sweaty palms against his cheap and tight suit pants. He took a deep breath and began walking toward that heavy door, his heart beating fast. He gently pushed the heavy wooden door open, stepping into a massive, minimalist luxury executive office room. There was such a power in that silence that it shook a person to their very core. At the far end of the room, a magnificent high-end leather executive chair was turned completely away from the entrance door. No one was standing there, just a powerful man staring out at the beautiful city. Holding his white resume folder tightly against his chest, the intimidated bully took 2 cautious steps forward into the room. He stood there silently, waiting for the mysterious billionaire manager to turn around. The heavy leather chair slowly spun around in a perfectly smooth motion, finally revealing the handsome top CEO. He was no ordinary man, but a man wearing a flawless custom luxury business suit. The powerful CEO slowly removed his designer reading glasses, looking directly at the applicant with a calm, piercing gaze. Just one look from him was enough, instantly making the entire office atmosphere feel freezing cold. The former bully's face turned completely pale as his eyes widened with absolute, paralyzing horror and shock. Standing right before him was the exact same face, the exact same quiet nerd he had tormented 15 years ago. The multi-billionaire nerd CEO leaned forward gracefully on his massive white marble desk, locking his sharp eyes onto him. Without saying a single word, he shattered his pride, showcasing the ultimate meaning of power and success. In a state of pure, overwhelming shock, the bully's shaking hands completely lost their tight grip on his files. All the papers fell to the floor, scattering his whole life's record across the polished floor. The calm CEO didn't even blink. He simply picked up his own digital copy of the applicant's background history text. He tapped the desk lightly, staring with a very deep and mysterious smile. The ruined bully instantly dropped his false pride, stuttering over his words and bowing his head down in complete shame. "Please forgive me," he begged frantically, realizing his past sins had caught up to him. The billionaire nerd CEO calmly raised a single hand, instantly silencing the frantic, sobbing man in front of him. That single gesture of his was enough, showing that his apology was completely useless and too late. Standing up slowly from his grand leather chair, the powerful CEO walked around his massive wooden desk with pure grace. He walked slowly and stood directly in front of the trembling bully. The CEO stood directly in front of his former childhood tormentor, looking down at him with extreme confidence. There was no anger in his heart, but the satisfying peace of a man who had won the battle. The broken bully stood there sweating profusely, completely unable to meet the successful CEO's sharp and dominant gaze. He kept looking at the floor, feeling the agonizing weight of his old high school cruelty. The brilliant CEO reached out and picked up a heavy wooden rubber stamp from the side of his table. He aligned the resume properly, holding the stamp right above the center of the paper line. With a single decisive motion, the CEO slammed the red rejected stamp heavily onto the applicant's paper. He calmly slid that ruined file forward, sliding his destiny right back into his hands. With tears of complete and utter defeat welling up in his eyes, the humbled bully reached out to pick it up. He took his rejected file, realizing that karma never forgets a single bad deed. Turning his back slowly, the disgraced former bully walked toward the heavy office door with slow, painful steps. His shoulders were completely slumped, facing the ultimate poetic justice that life had served him today. The broken man walked out of the massive glass skyscraper, stepping directly into the cold, pouring rain of the streets. His hands were completely empty, and his entire pride was permanently washed away by time. Stopping under the dark city lights, the bully looked down at his own sad reflection in a wet street puddle. Today he finally understood that when you cause pain to someone, destiny always comes back around. Back inside the warm, luxurious corporate office, the wise nerd CEO was already moving forward with his busy day. He shook hands with a new, capable and polite young man, welcoming him with true respect. The successful CEO stood tall by his massive glass window, looking out over the beautiful and grand city skyline. There was peace on his face, having closed the darkest chapter of his childhood once and for all. The young billionaire smiled gently as the warm golden hour sunset bathed his entire executive office in soft light. True victory is never about revenge. It is about letting your silent success make the loudest noise. If you enjoyed watching this video, please like and subscribe our channel Karma Files USA.